Well, our big focus this morning, the US federal government says it's freezing more than $2.2 billion in grants and contracts to Harvard University, since the institution actually said it won't comply with the Trump administration's demands to limit activism on campus. In fact, in a letter to Harvard, the administration called for broad government and leadership reforms, the requirement that Harvard institute what it calls merit-based admissions and hiring policies, as well as conduct. It said that as an audit of the student body, faculty and leadership on their views about diversity will actually be taken to the forefront. The demands, which are an update from an earlier letter, also call for a ban on face masks, which appear to target pro-Palestinian protesters. But regarding the latest escalation, let's go across for further clarity to my colleague Vishal, who joins us over the phone line at the moment. Well, Vishal, Donald Trump is now hammering Harvard and freezing funding.
So this comes in the wake of the letter that the university received last week, and that letter was from a federal task force, and it outlined additional policy demands that will, quote-unquote, maintain Harvard's financial relationship with the federal government. So that was a warning they received last week, and they have followed that up with a formal federal funding freeze. And that came in the wake of this statement that came from Harvard that said that they won't be compromising with their policies, and they've said that they are willing to continue with their quote-unquote independence and constitutional rights that they extend to students and staff. So they're not willing to back down on the promises that they've made to the students and staff. So this is a back and forth between both the parties, the federal government and Harvard. And similar warnings have been received by many universities in the US who faced similar risk of having their funds frozen. So that will have to be seen in the near future. But for now, this big $2.2 billion funding freeze will hit Harvard for sure. And in addition to this, there's also a $60 million per year funding. So there are two different kinds of fundings that have been frozen. And it will have to be seen how Harvard progresses from here, because there's a counter suit also filed by Harvard in response to the policy changes that they had received from the federal government. So there are a lot of legal wranglings going on. So it will be interesting to see how this case progresses.
As always, Vishal, thanks so much for joining us with the latest.